What's poppin', y'all? DDG was getting into an argument with his homies at the Capaholics house, and Michael Jackson versus Drake came up, and DDG had something crazy to say.
So you telling me that niggas was passing out for Michael Jackson, it was okay, but I'm saying I'll pass out for Drake and it's not? Was grown ass man was passing out at this nigga concert.
All my life, I love Drake.
But look though, it's warranted because Drake passed Michael Jackson.
Exactly.
Nah, don't do that.
So it's
He
warranted.
did.
Yo,
Though.
bro,
He did.
Don't do that. Don't
He
do
passed
that.
Michael Jackson. It's on the books. Billboard.
In what?
He got more number ones than Michael Jackson.
Okay,
He's
Shy
dead.
passed
If he was
Michael
still
Jordan.
alive,
Now, this was outrageous. I do think that the guy that tries to follow it up with a basketball-related reference, it doesn't hit quite the same. But first, we're going to address the point with Billboard. Now, Billboard number ones, Billboard entries, we have to take into consideration two completely different eras. Half of Drake's career was during the streaming era, and the first half, you could say, was towards the end of the piracy era, but also the iTunes era. The reason why I say that is because during Michael Jackson's time, you couldn't easily get a Billboard entry. Drake, for instance, if he drops an album, all of those songs will hit the Billboard charts because the consumption is based off of streams for the most part. Versus back then, if Michael Jackson dropped an album, maybe 1, 2, 3 songs would hit the Hot 100 because you had to work the records as singles, which was a combination of radio play and people buying individual records, individual songs. That's why there was lead singles. And you would have to press all of these records, CDs, whatever the case may be, cassettes during Michael Jackson's time as well, and then you ship them all out. So there was a lot more planning that had to be involved with a release. Versus Drake, he could just throw up a single. It's guaranteed to chart at least 1 week. So Billboard entries is largely a meaningless stat, and then you can calculate, weeks spent on the Billboard Hot 100, that matters as well. But I'm not even trying to track those metrics because the idea that Michael Jackson is not just the idea that Drake is even the most popular artist right now in the world is so deeply flawed. And I'm going to blame, maybe academics might be to blame for this because he says, Drake is the biggest artist in the world when that's not even close. And we're going to run some stats to prove this. But first, I want to play you guys this second clip from DDG.
He didn't pass the.
So you saying Drake is bigger than Michael Jackson?
Yes. Right now, yes.
Wait, what?
Oh my God.
He is.
Are you f***ing serious?
Bro,
Oh.
when
Whoa! Wait, are you
no, on some
okay?
real shit.
Listen, you
On some
got
real
that's dead that still that was Michael Jackson. Y'all niggas know who Michael Jackson is.
Man, Michael Jackson died at 50.
Right.
Right. Drake is
How
40.
many
Y'all
years
know who
ago?
the fuck Michael
40.
Jackson is.
How many years
Drake is
ago?
40.
How much
Drake is 40.
No, but look though.
He's 40.
So you telling me
He
whenever
said he's bigger than Michael Jackson.
whenever Drake,
Hold on, y'all.
I don't want to put this in the air, but whenever Drake died, right? Whenever
I'm
that
going with
happens,
I'm going with him.
look, whenever that happens, you think niggas gonna stop streaming this? This shit gonna
No. He's
niggas gonna keep
he's
streaming this
timeless.
shit. Obviously,
Timeless.
but I'm saying obviously Michael Jackson died. Okay, cool.
Yes.
He got hits, cool. But whenever somebody like that dies, they not gonna stop streaming their music.
So
So you can't say
on Instagram today, how many followers would he have?
he probably have 1 billion.
More than Drake,
Nah,
right?
he'll have more
No,
than
he
like.
won't.
He'll have more
But
than
then-
Drake.
but
Y'all acting like.
But look though, Michael Jackson though, the nigga would be like 80 right now, bro.
No, he won't. He would just be 60.
He'd
The
be
shit is that Michael Jackson fell off when he was 40.
Don't disrespect my. No,
You out your mind. You out your mind. You out your mind. In 2010, Michael Jackson was his brother.
All right, dog, we got to address the part where this guy's talking about Michael Jackson fell off and he would have been irrelevant. Michael Jackson would have been doing stadium tours still. We got the Rolling Stones doing stadium tours. What are we talking? We got Green Day doing stadium tours. You don't think Michael Jackson would have still been doing stadium tours? And Michael Jackson was hot since he was 8 years old. So he's had a longer career than Drake. However, let's address the elephant in the room because a lot of people, they use the statistics from Spotify and Apple Music to justify Drake being at the top. He is by far the most streamed artist if you mainly look at Apple Music and Spotify, but I don't think these tell the whole story. Because if we're talking about Michael Jackson, we are talking about globally. People dress up as Michael Jackson in the middle of a village in one of the islands of Indonesia that we've never heard of, that iShowSpeed won't even show up to. And that was while he was alive too. Villages in India, places in Sri Lanka, places in Polynesia. These guys all know Michael Jackson. Now, when it comes to modern day, who gets close to that? It's not Drake. And I think the best way to look at this is via YouTube stats versus Spotify and Apple Music, because Apple Music, you can't even use that. Number one, they don't really give stats, and Apple Music is such a narrow, it just covers America, Canada, maybe a couple of European countries. I think South Korea, I think they use Apple Music, but Apple Music does not have a big base globally speaking, and it costs money. So if we're going to talk about which platform is free and has the most listeners across the world, it's going to be YouTube. And people also view music videos a lot too. Like if you go to certain other countries, the way that they play music is just like a 50-track playlist, 3-hour video on YouTube that the taxi driver's listening to with random hits. That's just how it works. So let's just pull up the statistics, the top YouTube charts for weekly views for artists globally for the current week. And who do we have at number 4? Michael Jackson. So already he's ahead of Drake. Drake, on the other hand, is at number 6. However, Drake has jumped 49 spots on YouTube from number 55 last week. And you can see also he's at number 4. Michael Jackson was at number 4 the previous week. So Michael Jackson's catalog has not changed. Yet Drake's drops 3 albums, a lot of hype, a lot of people are going to check it out. So he jumps up to number 6, and that's still not enough to put him above Michael Jackson. Now, I know what people are going to say. They're going to be like, well, who are all these Indian acts? This is where you can do this on your own. You can look up the YouTube charts. If you go to a different country, India is 1 point something billion people. So it's like, 15, 17, 18% of the global population? So they're overrepresented here. We're talking about geographically, not just numerically. So what you would have to do, and we're not going to do this for every single country, but let's say Indian artists, right? You would have to go to a different country that's less likely to listen to Indian artists. Let's say Malaysia. You go to Malaysia, all of these Indian artists that you see at the top, they're probably not going to be there anymore. And then you just categorize it by the American artists, or whichever artist is going to be closest to the top at every country. And that's most likely going to be Michael Jackson. But when you look at globally, let's just look at the first week of January for global charts. Of course, there's going to be some Indian acts in the beginning because it's it's a free platform. It's widely used in India. They had their whole industry there. T-Series was the most subscribed channel at one point. But circling back to January, the first artist at number 6 is Bad Bunny. And this is where it isn't represented all the way accurately because Bad Bunny is another geographical act where certain regions of the world, like most parts of Asia, Russia included, they're not really listening to him. South Asia, not so much either. But other acts, Bruno Mars is big. Like if you could say that Bruno Mars is closer to Michael Jackson than Drake is to Michael Jackson. You go across the world, everyone's listening to Bruno Mars. Also, Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber, globally speaking, is bigger than Drake. He's also above him on this list. Eminem is bigger than Drake, globally speaking. He's closer to Michael Jackson. Who else? I don't know if I would say Taylor Swift, but Rihanna. Rihanna certainly. Ariana Grande as well. Ed Sheeran. All of these pop acts are above Drake when it comes to the global charts. Drake, if we're looking at the first week of January, was at number 85 globally on YouTube charts. Even YoungBoy was above him, but this is where I think young boy is a different story. Like he just has a lot more music on YouTube, and a lot more of his fan base is on YouTube versus a Drake. But I think it was fair to give it to Drake. In the past week, this guy was at number 6. And that still wasn't enough to get to Michael Jackson. Like I said, Ed Sheeran, these other guys, they're bigger than Drake. I wouldn't say Billie Eilish. I don't think she's as recognizable yet. But the names of these pop acts, especially from the early 2010s, I'm willing to venture to say that Nicki Minaj is right up there with Drake, globally speaking, with how famous she is and her proximity to Michael Jackson. But that's why I don't really get, I think it's just a strictly Western comparison, or North America at that, for people to say that, Drake is right up there with Michael Jackson. Maybe it's because he has so many, because he's talking about Billboard. Billboard is strictly the United States that they're counting. Like, yeah, there's a Billboard global chart now, but that didn't exist when Michael Jackson was dropping hits. And probably on a regular basis, he might outrank him with some of his albums, but he's passed away. So, of course, he has that legend status. And you can't all the way compare things now, because I'm willing to say it's too hard to become a superstar now. Also, The Weeknd is closer to Michael Jackson than Drake is. The Weeknd's done a global stadium tour. I don't think Drake could do that. Drake doing a stadium tour in North America and maybe Europe, I think it's possible for sure. He's got the hits for it. I think he's got the longevity for it. I think he would have to bring somebody with him. But I think there are a lot of other artists, even rappers. Like I said, Eminem as a rapper is closer in fame and people passing out over him, globally speaking, than Drake is. Closer to Michael Jackson. But people don't want to hear that, because funny enough, in North America, in like the hip hop sphere, Eminem doesn't get that level of, in hip hop conversations, I should say, he doesn't get that level of, oh yeah, he's like Michael Jackson, because frankly, Eminem, at least in the past 15 years, hasn't had the hits that Drake has had. So it makes sense. But let me know what y'all think in the comments. Like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. And actually, let me know in the comments. This is where I want the foreign viewers to be as vocal as possible. Like, I know we've got some people from Australia here. I know we've got some people from South Africa, certainly here. And just every single part of the world. I need you to speak up and say who are some artists from America or Canada. Let's just say UK, because Ed Sheeran's from the UK. Let's just say UK, USA, and Canada. What acts are bigger than Drake in your country? And it could be anybody from the past 25 years. Some people might even say 50 Cent is still bigger. I don't know. But let me know. So I think this will create some good conversation and good insight. Because when people like academics say Drake is the biggest artist in the world, it's like, dog, have you seen Taylor Swift's tour? Like, come on, dog. And academics, when it comes to global things, he himself has said he's quite ignorant and doesn't really know anything outside of Jamaica and the U.S. and his visit to Toronto. But yeah, let me know what y'all think in the comments. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. And I'm going to see y'all in the next one.